Mate, how you going?
Good morning. How are you? We
Good,
survived the
good.
Christmas party 2 nights ago.
Yes, what a good night, eh? Everyone coming out. It was good.
Cracker. Hey, got a controversial one to talk about today.
Yeah, let's
Uh,
rip in.
Open the newspaper up. Adrian Bowe McGrath, and read the story all over the papers. And I thought about real estate brands, and I thought about the good and the great real estate brands in Australia. What makes up a good brand? Now, look, I don't mind complimenting these guys and or being cynical about these guys because we're independent. And
Yeah.
I think fortunately being independent,
And when you're
we
number one, you don't worry about anyone else, do you? So they can fight second and third. No,
yeah,
no.
well, you know what? I think it's one of those things where, for some reason, when I was thinking about it this morning, I thought about Apple and I thought about Samsung.
Yep.
And I thought to myself, it is banter.
Mm.
It's good banter. They do egg each other on, and they do become better for it. They do even copy each other.
Yeah.
Um, and they do become better for it. So we need that, like as an independent, but as real estate brands in Australia, we need that competition between
Correct.
each other to push each other.
Just like agents get pushed by other agents as well, they compete. So to just at the end of the day, if agents are competitive nature, then just a room full of agents which creates a brand, you would imagine it's got the same ethos and competitiveness as well. So it's just on a different scale. Well, just different, but same.
Big time. And look, the Ray White family's done very, very well for a very, very long time, and I think they're the biggest network in Australia, and they should be
Yep.
celebrated. LJ Hooker has been around an extremely long time. I find that they, I don't see them reinventing themselves a lot
Yeah.
though.
Correct. Unlike Ray
Um,
White, Ray White had a big push 3, 4 years ago where they were wanting new blood come in, and if you weren't growing, i.e. the rent roll, they were looking for new people to take over that territory. So I think, as you said, other brands haven't reinvented or they've gotten complacent
yep.
in there. So I think you'll see Ray White have had some good progress.
The agency, good buddy of mine, John Calendar, Shad Hassan, couple of a couple of other boys in there. They're a pretty cool brand that's just come out.
Yep.
I think
Don't really
they're
see them on the beaches though, do we? Are they here?
yeah.
Or
It's funny. I don't know because I find that the brand is sort of in control of the reps a little bit more.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Whereas you don't sort of see that national splat
Yep.
like you do with Ray White or someone like those guys. But
Mm.
I love their technology push. They're nice high tech. The
Yeah.
agency they're called.
They do a lot on
Um,
LinkedIn as well. I think they're probably, as an agency, probably they push a lot more on most social media platforms.
yeah, I see it a
So
little bit.
yeah,
Look, there's the CBRE and Collier's. They're international brands, even
yep,
bigger than national. But I see those guys. They bring a lot of good information to the industry. They tend to consolidate a lot of data. Look at analytically, they look at the industry nicely. On the beaches, we don't really. I guess it's probably more of a national level. They have that impact, but we don't really see
yep.
that. Um, McGrath's an interesting one. Like I think that
He's
John
been copping it
McGrath,
lately, hasn't he? He's been copping it.
huh?
He's been
He's
copying
been
it lately. Like,
hard. And you know what I think is really sad is that for 40 years he's probably the most prominent figurehead of it in our industry that's kept his
yep,
nose clean, that's dedicated himself to the industry, stayed in the industry, made changes in the industry, and I don't look. I don't know the guy personally, but I don't know. I just think it's stupid because we shouldn't be. He shouldn't be getting that much flack as
why?
as as
So
as a network.
are you referring to that article? There was in particular stuff that wasn't just against Adrian Bowe. It was against McGrath. I
No,
understand the
do you know
article,
what?
or is it just
I just think
everything?
he's such a good operator. I just think it's such a good network. It's a strong network. It's a modern
Yeah.
network. It's a 2020, franchise network that the real estate industry needs. And I think we should celebrate that. You know what I mean? Like it should. rather, it seems like, I don't know, because we're all because we're all salespeople beating our chests, it's sort of almost, I think agents, I think we sometimes like to, because we're competitive, when a brother's down, it's sort of
Yeah.
like, okay, well, if he's down, then I'm up. But I don't
Yep.
think that's the case. Like, I don't think that's right. You know what I mean? Like, I know we're salespeople and we're almost like bloody soldiers, but you know, you got to look after guys like that.
Yeah.
That
Well,
you know,
especially when that
our
guy, John's like single-handedly probably raised the bar of the real estate agents' quality, which obviously, and the training, which obviously goes back to the consumer. The better trained the real estate agents, the better service the consumers will get. And that guy, I think, has dedicated the last 10 years basically to just training, but not just
30,
McGrath.
30,
Yeah,
yeah.
30. Not just the McGrath agents. It's not like he's ever been like, you don't work for me, get fucked. With what he does with Tom Panos, Troy Malcolm, like he's part of one of the biggest training programs in Australia for agents. So, and still running the McGrath business as well. Like, talk about
But
just
people,
putting real estate
but
first.
he's all he's trying to do is make money, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, that too.
I think very quickly you can go, who cares? He's doing training because you know he just wants to make money. But like at the end of the day, like if he's not going to do it, who
So
the hell
what?
is?
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? And if like we need to, like, I think prolifically, like, you know, I always laugh when you go to someone's funeral and you go, oh, you know, they were such good people, and you think, well, at their 50th, why didn't we have like a tribute like this to the person, or at their
yep,
60th, or at their 70th? And my point is that I guess with a guy like that, or I know we're talking about franchises today, but we've sort of spun off a little bit. But with a
mm,
guy like that, he's going to get to 50 years of being in the industry. And, you know, we should celebrate guys like that along the way. You know, John
yeah,
Cunningham's another good guy
correct.
in our industry that's done so much for our industry. But no, I think it's really interesting that you know, the real estate
Well,
networks out there are strong and you know, should be celebrated.
I think one thing I've always sort of noticed, especially with like that Australia a little bit. We'll see how this goes down, but the Australian culture is very. I think the analogy, it's called a crab system or a crab something. You're always trying to pull down the person above you to get to the top. A crab system or a crab theory. There's something along those lines. If anyone knows, let us know. Compared to like, so I think maybe there's a little bit of that. He's sort of like as you said, the pedestal, the poster boy for real estate as a general. He's done so much for it. He's very well known. So people are almost wanting to see him fall. I know in other cultures, especially the American culture, they're very entrepreneurial, have a crack. If you become that $1 million person, then they celebrate you. Like you see it in the movies. It sounds like a bit of a
Well,
cliche,
look
but
at
it is
Million
generally
Dollar
like
Agent.
that.
Look how
Yeah, it is.
they've glorified these real estate agents in America, and they and you know the rest of the Americans watch the series, support the series, celebrate the series, but it's sort of like in Australia that won't happen.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, look, I was watching a Serbian Centix, Australia. Hey, not just one of the
Serbian
pages of
Technics Australia, there he is.
it. How
And
good is
we
that?
got Fabulous Cleaning. How are you,
Clean
Ty?
legend.
Hey, Sam. But
So
no,
I think there's a bit of that going on. I do generally feel a lot of our culture isn't always supporting the top of success business people as well. So I think the Telstra CEO put something out the other day going, we'll whinge about a CEO getting paid 400 grand who's worked 20 years to get there, and but we won't whinge about a football player who gets paid 400 grand a year to do it. So I don't know. It's
Well,
interesting.
do you know what? I think the football player is pretty talented. To be able to kick a ball around the oval. But I think a footy player is pretty talented. And that's why they've worked their way to the top. I think a doctor who's been doing something for 20 years and dedicated themselves to a profession is equally as talented, and they get paid the same. And I think, like
Yeah.
that Telstra CEO guy was saying, I think if you've you know, because it's so easy to switch your industry just because, you know, you get bored or frustrated or whatever. It's so much harder to stick it out and bum down
Yeah.
and tail up. And that's why I know this morning we're talking about we're just sort of a bit of running commentary on franchising, franchises, real estate franchises in Australia. But yeah, it's funny. You're right. We don't
Well,
really like to support each other
yeah,
that way.
it's true. But okay, back to franchises. So I think also real estate's changed a lot in the last 10 years. When do you still think franchises have a place, especially with how large agent profiles are going? Well, let's put it this way: why did people go to a franchise 10 years ago? It was generally because, or 20 years ago, it was the brand. It was their buying power in, say, Manly Daily, for instance. The franchise would go to them and say, I can get X amount of properties, I want a
They
discount. It was the
they didn't
systems they
they
offered,
they didn't know how to run a real estate company.
okay, as in the
I think
agent
they
or the
were,
principal.
yeah,
Who?
like they were
Okay,
probably great. They probably had the ambition for the real estate agency. They'd been in sales, and they needed that support behind them. That
yep,
so they would do the standard forms. They would help you set up. They would help you with signage. They would help you with fit outs. They'd help you with training. I think it was a helping hand.
yep. And it's really easy to do it now these days, isn't it? Super easy to run. Or do you still think anyone
Yeah,
can do it? No,
it's
but
easy. Yeah.
so that's just so people watching. That's why a great agent would do it, as in go a franchise. But do you still think that's as relevant now? Because a lot of the time they had their own custom software CRM, but now with where software's going, everyone's sort of using their own or the same, and agent profiles
Look, I, I,
are
I
pretty
think,
strong.
I think, I think obviously a lot of the pro formas templates that are out there are now readily available. You don't have to
Yep,
particularly go to a franchise to get the information you used to need.
yep,
But look, I reckon, I think there's still a need for mentoring.
yep,
Like I look as an example, and it's a really hard one to quantify, but I think when you're putting in more than you're taking out, that's when it's a bad business relationship. When one person's taking out more than what they've put in. And I
yep,
think with some real estate networks, depending on the life of the business and where that actual
yep,
business is, I think in sort of the later parts of the business, the owners can say the franchisee, which is the guy running the shop, not the network, can sort of turn around and go, well, I'm putting in more than what
mm,
they're putting in. They're clipping me for 5 or 10%. I can make that profit, and I think when that relationship changes, that's when you're doomed. Now, mentoring and stuff like that. There's a big
yeah,
value in that. Like you're
yep,
giving a bouncing board, a second opinion. I still think these franchises have that where they can say, look, Johnny over there did this, Michael over there did that, Steve over there did this.
yep,
With when they had the problem that you're talking about, this is
yep.
what you should do. That's powerful information. It's hard to get out of Google.
It's true. It's true. It's true. I don't know. I reckon they're gonna. I reckon in the next 5 or 10 years, it could be very, very interesting to see if they're still around. Because even what you're saying there, look at something like the Real Estate Gym Network and how connected other agents are. Even we see it in the last 2 years how connected we are to other agents in other areas to what it was before. So I think franchisees really need to look at what they're putting into their business, and yeah, I reckon it'll be interesting.
It's going to be
We'll
interesting, but
see.
the big one that the whole reason I started thinking this morning is why we're speaking about this morning. For anyone who's just tuned in, we're talking about the running commentary on real estate brands in Australia, that
Yep.
your prolific brands that people are used to. And what sparked me to talk about that this morning was I was just reading the McGrath stuff in the paper with this Adrian Bowen stuff that's been happening. So it's not at all. I don't really want to go there. I think
Yeah.
it's probably a bit dangerous. But where I do want to go is that I think that people like again, I'll say it again, people like John McGrath who have dedicated themselves to the industry, who have been just pulled through the mud.
Yep.
Like, and I think we need to stop and dust our colleagues off sometimes.
Yep.
And I think John McGrath is one of those guys that, and I don't personally know him.
And I was
So
going to say
again,
that you don't know him personally, so it's not like
nah,
we're
but,
using this
but
platform with our millions of viewers on our show to
yeah,
do it. It's
yeah.
just an observation.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I think that as an industry, we should be saying, hang on a sec, McGrath's a bloody great brand.
Yep.
They've done a lot for our company because, for 30 years since they've been reinventing themselves, we copy each other when
Yeah,
we see
it's
we
true.
see something nice.
It's true.
They've come up with some really good shit over the years. Nothing like Novak, of course,
No.
but not
Doesn't even compete. That's the
doesn't
real
even
crime
compete.
here. That's the real issue we should be getting slammed for.
But
No,
they're a great real estate company. We should not shit on them.
they should open on the
We should
northern
look
beaches,
after them.
Mark, they should open on the. No, I'm kidding. But I will say that the real estate brands, I think overall, they've been around a long time. Century
Oh,
21,
yeah, and
Ray
it's
White,
hard.
LJ Hooker, like that's got to do. Like they're doing something right. I reckon. I don't think there's many companies within industries that have stuck around as long as they have. Like some of them been around for a while and doing
Oh,
well. So I
massively. And
reckon
if you
they
look at
kudos
them,
to them. Century 21 is
Century
pretty big.
21, yeah, spot on.
Who's
They've
that
done
owner?
some
That's
Tarby,
Tarby. He's and they're all part of the real estate gym as well and
Mr.
training.
Tarby.
So it's
But
good.
they Charles Tarby.
Charles.
If you think about real estate brands, very hard to cut. They're
Mm,
like, if you look at the only new brand that has successfully entered the market in 30 years is McGrath.
yeah.
And
Oh,
actually,
the
maybe
agency.
Bell.
Oh yes. Yep. Bell's nice.
So they're two. I think they're two very sustainable brands. Look, the agency, I think they still haven't been around for long enough to say power to you, but
Yeah.
certainly.
Oh yeah. Gotcha. Yep.
Do you know what I mean? Like certainly,
Yep.
it's not an easy starting a real
You
estate
know
brand
what
in
though?
this country is bloody hard.
I was just thinking, actually, I go back on where I think the franchise would be a bit difficult. What, from a consumer point of view, they are very important. So if you're not from an area, you don't have any real estate contacts, and when there's 1,000 agencies, and quality control can be quite low for some independents who've got no one to monitor them, having brands in an industry I think is key actually. I'm now thinking about because if I was looking to sell a home and I had no
Oh
idea, I
yeah.
would go to if I saw a McGrath who had been
Oh
around for
yeah.
40, 50 years, then you go, all right,
Oh
they're doing
yeah.
something well. Now
Yes.
that would allow me to go, all right, I'll go to my local McGrath office because I would make the assumption there is assumptions here that they would do quality control on any of their franchisors, in that area. So I reckon that's super important, actually. Now
You
looking
know
at it,
what? I saw something really cool that Gary Vaynerchuk did.
I love
I
him.
saw it
He's
about
great.
a
He's a
week ago.
legend.
He's a good guy. So Gary, he took off his shoe, which looked a little bit different to my shoe. My it had his shoe had a Nike swoop on it, and Nike swoosh,
Swoosh.
and he said, me and my buddy can go to China and make this shoe exactly for probably $3.
Yeah.
Why do I spend $200? And that's exactly what you just said, Michael. It's brand.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Good morning, Tom Panos. How are you?
Tom, how you going? So,
Big day of auctions today. I think you had 11 out of 10 sell, 100% last week. I reckon it'll be interesting to see where the auction clearance rates go this morning as well. What do you reckon, Mark?
Oh, it's going to pump. It's going to just
Yeah.
pump. DY had 140 properties on the market this time last year. It's got 42 today. And just to bring everyone up to speed, including Tom, we've been talking about real estate brands this morning, Tom. And guys, the reason I'm mentioning Tom is Tom again is one of those prolific people that in the industry that should be celebrated that we've been talking about, because we, you know, we were saying this morning about John McGrath, Adrian Bowe. It's a sensitive topic. We were talking about real estate companies in Australia and what and the value that they have brought to people. And where we just went was we're saying the Nike swoosh is what people like to buy. So they know that trusted brand, and that's why they'll consume that product for that trusted brand and everything it stands for. So unfortunately, it's a double-edged sword that if you want to enjoy if you want your people to enjoy the benefits of the brand, then you've got to take it both ways.
Correct.
Because sometimes your people who will not do the right thing, your whole brand gets affected. Do you know what I mean? So you can't have your cake and eat it too. If you want to go out and have your national brand, then you've got to sometimes you've got to defend it, like in times now. And that's like what we were saying, Michael, that, you know, like I think that John McGrath's done an exceptional job for 30 years. The White family's done an exceptional job for probably 50 years, and we've got to celebrate these guys.
I agree. Anything else we want to add this morning? We will record this, pop it on Facebook and YouTube as well. Let's pump it. Saturday, let's do this. Saturday, Sunday.
Have a great day. Enjoy. Guys, stock is low, prices are high. Very interesting.
Money's cheap.
Market.
Interest rates are cheap. Basically,
Money's
giving
so
it away.
Cheap. Yeah, it's incredible.
Take it, buy it.
And celebrate the real estate brands in Australia. These guys, these real estate agents, and we don't often love our real estate agents because it's like loving a car salesman. But these guys that are doing this are helping people achieve their dreams. Yes, they're getting paid for it, guys, but so is an ambulance officer and so is a doctor. So, you know, they celebrate these guys in the business. If you're out buying, selling, renting today, pat your real estate agent on the back. They're going to get you into your dream. You get more with honey than you do with vinegar.
Very true. Wise words, Mr. Novak. Wise words.
See you, legends.
See ya. Bye.
See you guys. Bye.